Good evening, and welcome to the latest happenings inside our federal machine.
It's Thursday, December 4th, 2025. This is Spathon with another episode of The Swamp. The FBI has just announced that they have finally arrested someone for the January 5th, 2021 pipe bomb plantings at the DNC and RNC offices, and we even have a name of the individual they arrested. And President Trump and First Lady Melania, they lit the national Christmas tree at the White House today. Also, the Pentagon, they held their first ever Christmas tree lighting ceremony yesterday, complete with elves rappelling down the walls of the Pentagon and Santa rolling up in a heavily armored vehicle. And President Trump and Secretary of State Marco Rubio participated in the official peace deal signing between Rwanda and the DRC. Another narco boat was blown out of the water today by Operation Southern Spear, conducted by the military's SOUTHCOM area of responsibility off the coast of Venezuela. And the leader of the violent gang, Tren de Aragua, remains wanted by the FBI, and they have just increased the reward to $5 million. Another big event today, announced by Attorney General Pamela Bondi, the Supreme Court issued a stay against a federal court's decision to stop the redistricting map of Texas, and the state of Texas will be moving forward with their plans to redistrict the state more fairly. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy declares that micro cars, which are popular in Asia, and they typically have 4 wheels, even sometimes 3 wheels, and they often get under 700 cc's of power, they will be allowed to be manufactured and driven in the United States in the coming years. And there's a lot more that happened today, so we're just going to dive straight in. And if you enjoyed the video, please give the video a quick like and consider subscribing to the channel if you enjoy daily updates on the Swamp, rather. And if you decide to leave a comment on this episode, I may just read it on tomorrow's episode. And every article that you will see in this video will be linked right down in the description below. And also, if there's any government department or official, any entity, agency, or office that I'm not covering on the Swamp that you've noticed, just let me know in the comments, and I will get right on that. I will add it to my list, and I'll start covering them in the Swamp. All right, so we've got this from the FBI. The FBI has arrested a suspect for allegedly placing pipe bombs at the offices of the Democratic National Committee and the Republican National Committee in Washington, D.C. on January 5th, 2021. Read the full story right here at FBI.gov. Don't mind if I do. And we're going to get into this. I know this has been quite a hot topic of definitely among the conspiracy theorists and really just the normies alike. You know, who the hell is this person? They had him all over, I don't know if they were Ring doorbell cameras, but he was definitely on camera planting these devices. And it was just kind of suspicious that at these offices that they weren't able to catch this guy. They weren't able to use a series of CCTV cameras to just follow wherever it was that they disappeared to. I don't know. But anyway, so the FBI has arrested a suspect for allegedly placing pipe bombs at the offices of the DNC and RNC in Washington on January 5th, the day before, the big day, the big setup. All right, Brian Cole Jr., that's the guy. Brian Cole Jr. of Woodbridge, Virginia, has been arrested and charged for allegedly placing the explosive devices at both locations. Attorney General Pamela Bondi announced December 4th during a press conference at the Department of Justice's headquarters in the nation's capital. Quote, although almost 5 years have passed, this shows the FBI will never rest in bringing justice to those who endanger American lives and our communities, FBI Director Kash Patel said. Do you think Biden's FBI would have stood a chance if, well, I suppose if Kamala were reelected? Absolutely not, dude. This person would have never been identified. Just my opinion. So the arrest was made earlier the same day in Northern Virginia. FBI Director Kash Patel, FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino, U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia Janine Ferris-Piro, and FBI Washington Field Office Assistant Director in Charge, ADIC, Darren Cox, joined Attorney General Bondi and our law enforcement partners in making the announcement. Bondi praised the case breakthrough as the result of interagency collaboration. The investigation is ongoing, she added, with search warrants underway. We all worked hand in hand to solve this investigation, ADIC Cox said. This has been a long week in D.C. after the terrorist attack last week. The grit and determination of the FBI and our law enforcement partners is an example to the American public of what cooperation, partnership, and selfless service can accomplish. Before the arrest, the FBI offered an award of up to $500,000 for information that helped identify the subject and released video footage of that individual to further aid in that identification. However, Director Patel attributed the suspect's apprehension to the FBI's current leadership taking a number of critical steps, including bringing in a fresh team of investigators and experts, re-examining each piece of evidence, and sifting through troves of data. Specifically, Cox said investigators dissected over 3 million lines of data to identify the alleged pipe bomber. This is insane, dude. They had to really go through that length to find this guy. So anyway, quote, as a result of that, we generated numerous investigative leads, executed multiple legal processes with our U.S. attorney partners, and came to this conclusion today, Patel said. And Patel thanked our Justice Department and interagency partners for their collaboration in the investigation and credited Deputy Director Bongino and Cox with spearheading the investigation. Quote, we do not forget, we do not let up, and we do not relent, Cox said. Though it had been nearly 5 years, our team continued to churn through massive amounts of data and tips that we used to identify the suspect. Bongino agreed. Quote, we were going to track this person to the end of the earth, he said. There was no way he was getting away. Criminal charges are merely allegations, and all defendants are presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt in a court of law. Of course, that should go without saying. Everybody, no matter what, even the you-know-who, the guy who shall remain nameless, at least at this time, who shot 2 National Guardsmen in Washington, D.C. last week. Same thing, technically speaking, innocent until proven guilty. Okay, so moving on to the White House. Merry Christmas from the President and the First Lady of the United States. They light the beautiful national Christmas tree, which just happened. It only happened about an hour ago. So this indeed just happened this evening. So let's give this a watch real quick.
So is everybody ready to light the beautiful Christmas tree? Are you ready? So the First Lady is going to do the
I'm assuming
honors,
Melania is going to do the honor.
And we're going to do a countdown. We'll go from 5 to 0, okay? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yay, Merry Christmas. All right, party time. Damn, they got a whole venue set up for this. I sure hope every bulb was made here in the USA and not in China. Well, there you go. And that, I'm assuming, is the moon and not a street light, which I'm going to get to at the end of the episode, but I'll just do a spoiler of the moon. It is full. It's the last full moon of the year. So I guess we'll get to that at the end of the video. So also from the White House, President Trump, First Lady participate in National Christmas Tree lighting. This is the video in its entirety. I'm not going to go through it because we just watched the highlights, but I just figured I would point this out. What's nice is that the White House, whenever they post an entire video of an event, they do usually start it at the point where things get underway, which I definitely appreciate. That's kind of nice that they do that. But anyway, if you want to watch the entire thing, I'll repost that. There's a direct link to my profile in the description below, or you could just go straight to @WhiteHouse. And this was posted 2 hours ago at 6:28 p.m. The White House, they are constantly posting stuff all day long, so it really helps if you get the exact time so you can scroll straight down to it. All right, and we'll just head to the Department of War live. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth hosts the inaugural Pentagon Christmas tree lighting ceremony. So we'll take a look at this, and oh, okay. That's all right. Don't freak out. I don't have to freak out because I already got the video in another post. So they don't have a replay. I don't know why they don't have the replay here, but that's okay because I got it right here. So we'll just check this out. And it's not very long. It's like 10 minutes, but I'm not going to watch the whole thing. I'll just skip to a couple of the highlights. I cheated. I almost never watch any videos before I do the show because I just want to react to it in real time. But I did give this a quick play just to see if it had what I was hoping that it would have, which involves like the elves like climbing down the walls and Santa rolling up. It was pretty cool. So we'll give this a check, or give this a watch.
Everybody.
It's the first ever Pentagon tree lighting ceremony.
What a wonderful and special evening. Thank you all for joining us, our family, almost all of our family. We're missing 3, but we'll have them for Christmas. And we want to thank all of your families as well for the support you give as warriors and civilians inside this department to the entire country in support of this mission. I see some kiddos here. Excellent. I hope all you kiddos know that your moms and dads are heroes who fight and work to support our country. So I keep them away from home a little bit more than I should. They work hard, and they're heroes to support the country. I hope you get some hot chocolate, some cookies, and maybe a photo with Santa. I don't know. I can't promise. I haven't seen him, but we have a lot of radars. I've heard he could be in the area. We are gathered to celebrate the blessing of Christmas season here at the Pentagon. And a couple of months ago, my wife said, "Babe, President Trump brought Merry Christmas back. We're going to bring Christmas back to the Pentagon." And that's what we're doing.
To be fair, it wasn't just Trump. There's a lot of people who brought back
We are
Merry
going to
Christmas.
light a new permanent Christmas tree, and this one is a beauty. A 14-foot Nellie Stevens holly from Chantilly, Virginia, local. They say when the tree was planted, there were bald eagles flying overhead. True story. Fitting
okay.
for this building. It will grow to 30 feet tall
If you
and
say
live
so.
for at least 50 years. A fitting tribute to the warrior ethos here.
Oh, did they
It
planted
replaced
it?
a small serviceberry tree that was slated for removal anyway. So it made sense.
Oh, well, they saved it. Makes sense.
But we're here to remember the real reason for the season. It's easy to get caught up. It happens with our family all the time.
Reason
The
for
commercialism
season
of the
is
moment is a
please.
very real thing. The commercials come and the clicking goes, the lists grow. You get to the cards and the travel and the end of year business and you get wrapped up in it. But in this season of Advent, Christians are called to pause and reflect, to turn away from the things of the world and look upward toward the anticipation of the coming of our Savior, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, don't look
We
up
remember
to Santa
and
Claus.
await the coming of our Lord. He was born of the Virgin Mary into the humblest
Well, Santa Claus, he's a
of
cool dude.
circumstances in the city of Bethlehem. The Savior who took on flesh and made the ultimate sacrifice for all of us and our salvation. That is the real reason for the season. So in this season, we worship, we reflect, we rest, and of course, with our families, we eventually feast. We prepare to spend time together, remember the ones that we love, and we remember the ones that are fighting to protect all of us.
Okay, all right, so I'm going to skip.
The dead of winter,
So-
the cold of night.
But we'll
stuff's
get
around
on
here,
with
and
the
maybe-
show.
Thank you for
But
making
there's a
it
couple
happen.
of cool events that happens here when they... All right, here we go.
1. All right.
The tree is lit. Not as dramatic as the White House tree, of course. But it's the first ever. They probably didn't plan too far ahead putting this together, but no, I don't know, maybe they did.
As we gather around the Christmas tree this holiday season, oh my goodness, what is that clinking sound? Oh,
All right, yeah,
what's
here
that
we
on
go.
the building over on the left? Hopefully, it's not that 3-decker sauerkraut and toadstool sandwich with arsenic sauce. No, it's not that Grinchy character. It's Santa!
Yeah, there we go. Rappelling down the wall of the Pentagon. You know, I'll have to ask my brother if he attended this, because my brother works at the Pentagon. But he doesn't have kids, though, so I don't know if he would have gone or not. He probably didn't go, but maybe he's out there somewhere. I mean, how many people work at the Pentagon? Like
Max,
20,000 people or something?
Max.
I know there's a lot.
get the sleigh. We're leaving. These people are
Pentagon sleigh.
smiling.
Heavily armored
I
vehicle.
can't work under these
There's
conditions. Note to self. Next year, we fake an illness. gentlemen, please continue to enjoy our musical entertainment. Courtesy
Man, some of the leaves in DC still have their leaves on.
States Navy Band. Have a
They
wonderful
look like full-on
holiday
winter time by
season,
now.
and Merry Christmas.
I don't know. DC's in one of those weird spots where it snows, but it doesn't really snow that much. Maybe they have some leafy evergreens in the area. All right. Well, there goes Santa. And that's the first tree lighting of the Pentagon. So there you go. You're welcome. Anyway, I'll link that also if you want to take a look at the whole speech from Secretary of State Pete Hegseth. And we'll just roll on to farmers.gov. One way to support American agriculture this holiday season is buying a real Christmas tree. There's 16,000 plus Christmas tree farms nationwide, and Christmas tree sales generate an estimated $3 billion for the economy. You'd be supporting U.S. farmers and rural prosperity. Trees grown in the USA. You know, when I was a kid, my dad, he would always take us out to the tree farm and we would find our tree and we'd cut it down ourselves. So yeah, we did that quite a few years and it was good times. Freeze your butt off doing it. And of course, he had to get the perfect one. So we were out there for hours and it was like acres and acres of trees, man. So much walking around. So yeah, it was a pretty cool experience though. I mean, it's memorable. I definitely have memories doing that, going out and picking the Christmas tree. Okay, so Rep. Pete Aguilar, Democrat. So Trump is the Grinch of stealing Christmas this year. Thanks to Trump's reckless tariffs, your Christmas tree and gifts and holiday decor will cost more this year. Yeah, because they're totally tariffing Christmas trees that are grown right here in the United States. But I get it. I know what he's saying. He's talking about the fake Christmas trees, which is all the more reason why you should be buying a real Christmas tree. You'd think that he might have mentioned that, but no, of course not. Okay, so how Trump is stealing Christmas. So, of course, he clipped a few headlines. Tariffs could be coming for your Christmas tree, even though if you bought a legitimate Christmas tree, ain't no tariffs associated with them. Shoppers brace for a tighter holiday season as gift prices keep climbing. There's one more item for your holiday budget list, tariffs. Not really seeing anything, not that much movement with regard to tariffs and increase in product costs. That's just my opinion. I don't go shopping all the time. I'm not a big consumerist. I only buy what I need. So maybe other people are seeing it. I don't know, but I'm not. So you're paying more for less this shopping season. Tariffs increase prices for toys, holiday decor, which is also pretty convenient for them to blame it on tariffs, even though inflation it raises an average of 2% a year, not including things like COVID and all that other bullshit. So, all right, so let's move on to Senator Todd Young. Close cooperation with Taiwan is critical for pushing back on Chinese aggression and maintaining peace through strength in the Pacific. Thanks to the president for signing legislation to strengthen our ties with Taiwan. Apparently, this just happened. So Taiwan cheered. Reuters. Damn it. I didn't know they were paywalling. Reuters, are you really paywalling me? So maybe we'll just have to skip on down to the next one. But I'll pull out one trick and see if it'll work. Not sure if it's going to work or not. Come on, open. It's really weird. I don't know why it's taking so long. Okay. So it's probably gonna paywall me, I bet. Oh, it did open twice. All right. Well, maybe not. Maybe I lucked out. Maybe the trick worked. Okay, so Taiwan expressed thanks and China was upset on Wednesday after President Donald Trump signed into new law legislation requiring the U.S. State Department to regularly review and update guidelines on how the United States officially interacts with Taipei. The United States is Taiwan's most important international backer despite the lack of formal diplomatic ties, and the issue is a constant source of irritation in Sino-U.S. relations, given Beijing views the democratically governed island as its own. In 2021, under the first Trump administration, then Secretary of State Mike Pompeo lifted restrictions on contacts between U.S. officials and their Taiwanese counterparts, put in place after Washington recognized Beijing in 1979. The Taiwan Assurance Implementation Act, which Trump signed into law on Tuesday, so it was 2 days ago, says the U.S. State Department should carry out reviews of contacts with Taiwan no less than once every 5 years. The law affirms the value of U.S. interaction with Taiwan, supports closer Taiwan-U.S. relations, and stands as a firm symbol of our shared values of democracy, freedom, and respect for human rights, Taiwan Presidential Office spokesperson Karen Kuhl said in a statement. Taiwan Foreign Minister Lin Chia-lung told reporters more frequent reviews of the guidelines would allow Taiwanese officials into federal agencies for meetings, for example, though the legislation does not make explicit mention of this. In Beijing, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Jian said China firmly opposes any form of official contact between the United States and the Taiwan region of China. Yeah, of course, they had to throw that in there. It's the Chinese region. So the Taiwan question is the core of China's core interests and the first red line that must not be crossed in China-U.S. relations, he added. The United States should exercise the utmost prudence in handling the Taiwan question to stop all official interactions between the U.S. and Taiwan and not to send any wrong signals to Taiwan independence, separatist forces, Lin said. So Taiwan's government rejects China's territorial claims and says it has a right to freely engage with countries around the world. Trump, who met Chinese President Xi Jinping in South Korea in October, is expected to visit China in April. And I'm sure that's going to be a hot topic of discussion between them. All right. And I will link that below. If you want to read this for yourself, even though I already read the whole thing, but what you can do is you can open up a private window. Whether or not if you use the Brave browser, you can actually use Google Chrome. I'm sure Microsoft Edge probably has a private window you can open up. But anyway, that's my workaround. If my channel gets to the point where it actually earns a little bit, the very first thing that I'm going to put that into is subscribing to some of these news websites, because it is really annoying that I have to work that around. But this stuff adds up, man. $1 a week, $52 a year. I mean, that's just for Reuters. I don't have that kind of money. I don't make very much money. I really don't. I don't make that much. All right, so let's head on to the Department of State. Secretary Rubio at a signing ceremony with Kenya's President Ruto. Quote, Kenya is one of our strongest partners in so many different fields, whether it's the fight that we fought together against terrorism on the continent, but beyond that, and in our own hemisphere. So it's like this happened today. Posted 7 hours ago.
In so many different fields, whether it's the fight that we've fought together against terrorism on the continent, but beyond that, in our own hemisphere, Kenya's played an extraordinary role, really heroic role in trying to help stabilize Haiti. It's a very difficult situation. They've carried a huge burden as a country for the better part of 2 years now. And had it not been for their engagement, and I just expressed this to President Ruto, as bad as Haiti is, it would be indescribable what it would look like today were it not for the efforts they've made. Our gratitude for the role they've played is extraordinary. Had it not been for the role they've played, what we are hoping to do next in Haiti would have been impossible, which is to transition to a gang suppression force. And we know there's a transition period, and we're going to be very involved in being helpful in bridging that. And we want them, and we hope to encourage them to continue to be engaged moving forward as we move into this new phase of trying to bring stability to Haiti. But we understand and believe they cannot do it by themselves. So I wanted to use this as an opportunity to continue to encourage countries in the region and around the world to step up and contribute and be a part of this effort.
Well, I mean, do you think that Haiti would have gotten their shit together after the earthquake, after we sent God knows how many billions of dollars there to rebuild it, which, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of conspiracies and arguments to be made on that subject alone. But yeah, man, with Kenya, I honestly didn't realize Kenya was even working with the U.S. or even just working with Haiti, just trying to get that country under control. So that's a good thing. All right, Department of State, the president, quote, for more than 30 years, one of the worst conflicts on earth has been raging in the eastern Congo. Today, we're succeeding where so many others have failed, and this has become the 8th war we've ended in less than 1 year. 8 wars ended in less than a year.
For more than 30 years, one of the worst conflicts on earth has been raging in eastern Congo. Millions and millions of people have been tragically killed. Went on forever. And countless more have been displaced from their homes. Families have been destroyed.
Well, same with Rwanda, too, for that
matter. Many administrations have tried, but probably not too hard, knowing who preceded me. But they tried. It says they've tried. But we tried harder to end this conflict. But they've accomplished, obviously, they accomplished very little because the killing went on at levels that just got worse and worse. And today we're succeeding where so many others have failed, and this has become the 8th war that we've ended in less than 1 year.
Less than a year, okay. And looks like we've got, wait, was that the only other one? Oh, I thought I had a third one. Okay, this must be the third one. So anyway, President Trump participates in a signing ceremony with the presidents of Rwanda and Congo, and this is going to be the full, yeah, it's going to be the full one. Looks like it's substantially long, so I'm not going to play the whole thing.
Please welcome the President of the United States, the President of the Republic of Rwanda, and the President of the Democratic Republic of the Congo.
Okay, so I'll give it like maybe holy shit, that was loud. Good grief. I'll give it a minute or two. And then I'll repost it if you want to check the whole thing out. Apparently there's people sitting up above.
Well, thank you very much. Wow. This is a nice building, I have to tell you. So this is a special occasion for a lot of reasons, but number one is it's our first occasion in this building using it for peace. And it's all about peace, and it's a great honor. And Marco, you've done a fantastic
job. That'd be the Kennedy Center.
In getting it ready, but it's a spectacular building, and we all appreciate it. And very importantly, we're settling a war that's been going on for decades with millions and millions of people killed. And these two gentlemen spent a lot of time backstage talking to each other, and over at the Oval Office. We were at the Oval Office together. It was beautiful. And I think it's just a very important day. And we have other leaders from other countries. And you said such beautiful things. I'd love to have you come up. We'll finish up, and then I'd love to have you come up, and if you can issue the words that you just issued backstage. It usually doesn't work, you know. It usually never happens. They said it much better before, but you will probably do better up here. But I'd love to have you say how you felt, because it is an amazing day. Great day for Africa, great day for the world, and for these two countries, and they have so much to be proud of. And I want to thank the leaders. I want to thank you very much. It means maybe more because we are here together for the first time ever in this building. Brand new, beautiful building. I don't want to tell you how much it costs, because I hear it's a lot. Okay? They don't build inexpensively here. But
way too
I just
much.
want to thank you very much. So please sit down, everybody. I want to thank everybody
turn it up a little bit.
being here. It's a momentous occasion. It's truly incredible setting. It's very few places I've seen like this. In this holy season, we prepare to celebrate the birth of the Prince of Peace. We have come to the U.S. Institute of Peace to sign a historic agreement that will end one of the longest-running conflicts anywhere in the world,
Institute of Peace,
with far more than 10 million people killed. Today, we commit to stopping decades of violence and bloodshed and to begin a new era of harmony and cooperation between the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Rwanda. I want to thank the two courageous leaders. They are courageous leaders. They really are courageous leaders, great people. President Tshisekedi of the Democratic Republic of the Congo and President Kagame of Rwanda. They are amazing people, and they had stories to tell me that were incredible. Really fascinating in so many different ways. Sad and beautiful, both sad and beautiful, and today makes them beautiful. I've just held really fantastic meetings with both men and representatives of other countries where we discussed the importance of upholding this new agreement. Very detailed, powerful agreement. I also want to thank several foreign guests and dignitaries in attendance to celebrate this magnificent event, including the President of Angola. Please, would you stand? And so great to see you. Thank you. The President of Burundi. Thank you very much. Great to see you again. The President of Kenya. We have the Olympics here. You know, they do very well in the Olympics, those runners. I don't know what the heck you do with those runners, but they are very good. I've been watching them for a long time. So we have the Olympics coming to the United States. You know that. Thank you very much. And you'll come as our guest. Thank you. And the President of the Council of Ministers of Togo. Thank you. Thank you very much. The Vice President of Uganda. Thank you. It's such a beautiful color. Like all these guys are wearing these dark suits. you just stand out for a lot of reasons. You're beautiful. The foreign ministers of Qatar, thank you. Thank you very much. Say hello.
Out there somewhere.
To my friend, a great man. And the United Arab Emirates, thank you. Thank you. My regards, right? And the chairman of the African Union Commission, who's done a fantastic job, and thank you for all your help. We appreciate all your help. A special group of people. A very
All right. Okay. So I'll just cut it there. Just figured I'd just let him get the rest of that out. Everyone who's represented there and signing the ceremony or the signing ceremony with the presidents of Rwanda and the Congo. So obviously that they give their own speeches, and I'm assuming here at the end that they would do. Yeah. So they actually do the official signing that they have underway at the end of the video. So yeah, they sign it, they hold it up, they smile, and we now have peace, at least in some of Africa. So that's a very good day. The 8th war that has been ended by not just the Trump administration, but by Trump himself. Okay, from the DOW, Department of War Rapid Response, 7 hours ago, the flags at the Pentagon have been lowered to half-mast in honor of Specialist Sarah Beckstrom. And they're going to show the flags being lowered this morning. And the flags remained at half-mast until sunset. So I read. All right. So the flag is at half-mast. So that occurred today. And RNC research, even Hakeem Jeffries, Timu Obama now admits President Trump's border security policies are working. Fancy that. CNN, can you give President Trump any credit for securing the border? And Jeffries even says, the border is secure. Of course, he'll get credit.
Can you give President Trump any credit for securing the border? Because, as you know, that was a big issue under the Biden administration when you had record border crossings, those border crossings have gone down dramatically. Can you give him credit for that?
The border is secure. That's a good thing. It's happened on his watch. He wants to claim credit for it. Of course, he'll get credit for that.
Well, yeah, you can't give it to anybody else. The Democrats they vehemently hate the border, and they went through every possible length to dismantle the border, as much of it that was put up, to the point where the Biden administration was selling off portions of the border wall. Remember that when they had the slats that were ready to be lifted and placed, and the Biden administration decided to sell it off as scrap for pennies on the dollar. And I think the Trump administration had to go back and rebuy that material back from the same companies that purchased them. It was absolutely ridiculous. Plus all the temporary border wall that the state of Texas tried to put up. They even had to resort to using metal containers, like the trailers of semis. And they had to roll out barbed wire and everything. And of course, federal judges, or it was either federal judges or it was the Biden administration themselves. They ordered the state of Texas to remove all of it. It's absolutely absurd. All right, so House Homeland GOP, October marked the lowest start to a fiscal year on record for nationwide border encounters by CBP. More on President Trump's success from Rep. Garbarino and Rep. Michael Guest in our newest border brief, which I will link that, and let's check this out. So the October marks the lowest start to a fiscal year ever for nationwide encounters. And fiscal year, what is that, 2026? Yeah, okay, yeah. So it says October fiscal year 2026 nationwide encounters, 30,573. October fiscal year 2025 nationwide encounters. I wonder if this is off by a year. I don't really get it. So nationwide encounters, 142,742. October fiscal year 2024, 309,024. I have a feeling this might be a misprint. I mean, that doesn't make any sense because it ain't 2026 yet, at least not by my watch. All right, so U.S. Customs and Border Protection nationwide border encounters in October decreased 79% compared to October of 2024. 30,573. Yeah, that's obviously a typo. That was supposed to be 25, 24, and 23. So anyway, compared to October of 24, 30,573 versus 142,742. And the Southwest border encounters in October decreased by 89%, which was from 106,316 versus 11,710 compared to October of 24. In October open fiscal year 2025, not 6, marking the lowest start to a fiscal year in recorded history. Man, they misprinted the hell out of this. So U.S. Border Patrol apprehensions between ports of entry at the southwest border in October, 7,989, which decreased 86% compared to October in 2024, 56,515, which happened last year. In October, Border Patrol averaged 258 apprehensions a day on the southwest border, 95% lower than the daily average under the Biden administration. CBP encounters of inadmissible aliens at the northern border dropped 71% in October of this year, 4,340, compared to last year at 15,207. And also for the 6th month in a row, in October, the U.S. Border Patrol released 0 inadmissible aliens into American communities on parole, compared to the 10,009 inadmissible aliens that were released under the Biden-Harris administration last October. And of course, Kamala Harris was the border czar. So according to the Department of Homeland Security, threats and violence against immigration and customs enforcement and Border Patrol agents are on the rise compared to last year. Numbers, I think most recently they're throwing out 1,000% increase. So on October 9th, the U.S. Coast Guard launched Operation River Wall to secure approximately 260 miles of Rio Grande River that makes up a portion of our southwest border. The Coast Guard deployed watercraft, command center assets, and tactical teams to spearhead the patrol. So there you go, man. That's the border brief. Misprinted, but that's the border brief. Okay, CBP, securing the nation's borders, one arrest at a time. U.S. Border Patrol Chief LRT, Laredo Sector Border Patrol. The agents arrested a truck driver and 15 illegal aliens in a failed smuggling attempt. The driver failed to stop for secondary inspection and was pulled over. The inspection revealed 15 illegal aliens concealed in the sleeper compartment of the tractor and confirmation that the tractor was stolen. The driver is facing charges. Yeah, I would certainly hope so. They probably would have gotten away with it scot-free if not for President Trump's administration. So yeah, they're all busted. They obviously didn't hide all that well. I mean, I remember, what was that, earlier this year? I think it was like right after President Trump took back over. There was, in the state of Texas, if I'm not mistaken, there was a hay bale truck that was caught smuggling illegals, and they had hollowed out the hay bales that were rolled up on the semi-truck trailer, and they took images inside. I don't think that they took any images of people inside them. They were just photographing it after they had apprehended them, but they got at least a dozen people out of there. And yeah, so that happened. So, I mean, they were a little bit more clever than these idiots. All right, so Senate Republicans, Joe Biden let thousands of Afghans into our country after this disastrous withdrawal from that country without properly vetting them. This is a massive security risk. President Trump is right to halt all asylum claims until we can fix Biden's failure and protect Americans. This is going to be found on Fox News. And scroll on down. We'll see what this is all about. So first on Fox. All right, so U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents have arrested Afghan national John Shah Safi, an alleged ISIS-K supporter brought into the country under former President Joe Biden's Operation Allies Welcome in Waynesboro, Virginia. Safi was arrested as President Trump and his administration confront a surge of terror cases tied to Afghan arrivals that occurred under the Biden administration. The Department of Homeland Security said on Wednesday that Safi arrived in the U.S. on September 8th of 2021 in Philadelphia. He applied for temporary protected status, though his application was terminated when DHS Secretary Kristi Noem ended TPS for Afghans. And that's the individual right there. All right, so, quote, today our heroic ICE officers arrested John Shah Safi, a terrorist who provided material support to ISIS-K, Noem said in a news release. The Biden administration brought this terrorist into the U.S. under the disastrous Operation Allies Welcome program. This terrorist was arrested miles from our nation's capital, where our brave National Guard heroes, Sarah Beckstrom and Andrew Wolf, were shot just days ago by another unvetted Afghan terrorist brought into our country. The Biden administration created one of the worst national security crises in American history. Biden let into our country nearly 190,000 unvetted Afghan aliens, only determining who they were and their intentions when they were already on American soil. So basically just verbally asking them a few questions like, what's your purpose for being in the United States? Like, you know how they do like in the movies when they're going through like the immigration checkpoint at the airport. Probably asked just a couple of basic, simple questions and, all right, move along. So anyway, President Trump has been working every day since January 20th to clean up this unmitigated national security crisis. And what's this image of? Okay, so refugees from Afghanistan being escorted to a waiting bus after arriving and being processed at Dulles International Airport in Dulles, Virginia. That was on August 23rd of 2021. And the DHS accused the Biden administration of relying on unvetted referrals to admit nearly 190,000 Afghan nationals into the U.S. The Trump administration put a stop to Afghan refugee resettlement after Trump returned to the Oval Office in January because it saw the program as a massive threat to national security. Safi's arrest marks the third of an Afghan national who was released into the country under Biden in less than a week, according to DHS. And that's the Lochinwall dude who shot the National Guardsman. So, which we already know that. November 25th, just a day before the attack, Mohammed Dawood Alakaze was arrested by local authorities and the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force after allegedly making bomb threats in Fort Worth. Alakaze allegedly posted a video on TikTok saying he was building a bomb and his intended target was the Fort Worth area. So anyway, all right, so there's that, and we will roll on to U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Portland rioter, yeah, that dude looks like he's totally from Portland. John Paul Cupp faces criminal charges for allegedly threatening to kill ICE officers and essentially assault their wives. Cupp repeatedly posted threats on social media, including calling for war against the U.S., making anti-Semitic and violent threats, and referring to himself as Osama bin Laden. Yeah, this dude's a real genius. Caution, details and media in the threaded link below are not suitable for children and may be disturbing. Well, because we're on YouTube, I guess I'm just going to have to refrain from opening that up, I guess. But, you know, I kind of appreciate that they did put that disclaimer there. But what I will do is repost it, so you can check that out for yourself, or you can just go to ICE.gov, ICE dot, or no, not dot, just ICE.gov, and that's their handle on the X platform if you happen to be on there. And from Homeland Security, oh yeah, look at this, proud dad and domestic terrorist. What an asshole. All right, so Homeland Security, if you are in this country illegally, we will hunt you down, arrest you, and lock you up. Operation Catahoula Crunch is in New Orleans to find the criminal illegal aliens who have taken refuge thanks to the city's sanctuary politicians. So what significance does this term have with New Orleans, if anything? Catahoula Crunch. Never heard that term. It's kind of a cringy name to name this operation, in my opinion, but I'm sure it's got some meaning behind it. I don't know, maybe let me know in the comments. All right, so we'll give this a play on Fox News.
Border Patrol agents for what is being called Operation Catahoula Crunch. Here's senior correspondent Mike Tobin.
Yeah, SRK.
Maybe he's saying it wrong.
We're in place now.
Border Patrol agents are now on the ground in New Orleans as President Trump's immigration enforcement efforts expand around the country. First, they stopped in the parking lots and storefronts where illegal migrants wait for day labor. Then a foot patrol through the French Quarter.
When is the mission successful here in New Orleans?
Well, when all the illegal aliens leave New Orleans, when all those bad people, bad things, those criminal aliens, the child rapists, the terrorists, and all those individuals that we apprehend, when they're all gone, mission accomplished.
No ICE, no truth!
The agents' presence drew protesters to New Orleans City Council. Demonstrators disrupted and shouted until the public comment period in today's City Council meeting was shut down.
We'll be back! We'll be back!
On the street, Border Patrol agents encounter both hecklers and supporters.
It's just crazy. What are they looking for running down Bourbon Street, you know?
If they're enforcing law and order in the United States, that's a good thing.
I'm an immigrant. I'm from South Africa. I came here legally, in the legal way, in terms of my legal visa.
We are accepting South
Africans by the book.
So far, DHS says more than 20 illegal immigrants have been detained with crimes and suspected crimes ranging from battery to child endangerment. One man here illegally from Vietnam had been sentenced in the U.S. to 40 years for multiple crimes, including kidnapping, homicide, and aggravated assault.
You're under arrest.
He had been paroled. DHS promises he's now on his way back.
Under arrest. Get out of here.
It's different here than Chicago. The hostile incidents are limited thus far to City Council. On the streets, no riots, no tear gas. The difference seems to be state leadership that welcomes the agents, state and local police
of course
that promise to protect them on their mission. Brett?
Absolutely. That's what it is all about. It's the state leadership. It's just that simple. And the whole Home Depot thing with the laborers waiting outside, that reminds me of a video I saw a long time ago. I believe he's a comedian. I don't remember the guy's name, but his YouTube series of videos that he did, he called himself the Amazing Racist. It went like a number of his videos went viral. It was pretty popular like a decade ago or so. But he did a video where he drove up to a Home Depot and he picked up a bunch of illegal immigrants looking for work, and he drove them straight to the local border patrol office. It was so fucked up, man. As soon as he drove up into the parking lot, they just jumped out of the truck and they ran in all these different directions. And he was like shouting, he's like, "Hey, I got some, I got some." It was so fucked up, man. All right, anyway, so U.S. Southern Command, on December 4th, at the direction of Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, Joint Task Force Southern Spear conducted a lethal kinetic strike on a vessel in international waters operated by a designated terrorist organization. Intelligence confirmed that the vessel was carrying illicit narcotics and transiting along a known narco trafficking route in the Eastern Pacific. 4 male narco terrorists aboard the vessel were killed. And again, that happened just today, so they immediately unclassified this. Probably not going to have sound. Never does. Yeah, dude, how is that not full of drugs, man? It so clearly looks like it's full of drugs. It ain't fishing gear. That's what it's not. And it doesn't look like a boat full of people trying to transport themselves from one place to the next. But I don't know. What do you think? I mean, do these look like bales of drugs? I mean, that's what it looks like to me. Not sure what else it could be if it's not drugs. And so, yeah, that happened. How many did they say? 4. Yeah, there were 4 that were aboard the vessel. Okay, so U.S. Department of Justice International, I think, isn't it? Let's see. Yeah, international. The official U.S. Department of Justice account focusing on international law enforcement. 19 people were arrested in the U.S. and in Colombia and in Ecuador and El Salvador in 4-year transnational visa fraud, racketeering, and money laundering scheme that defrauded thousands of Central and South American nationals seeking to work lawfully in the United States. And this was posted by Policia Ecuador 15 hours ago. It's been translated. International operation allows the arrest of... Come on, man. Why does Grok keep doing this? International operation allows the arrest of 8 members of a transnational network for illicit migrant trafficking. The Policia Ecuador, in coordination with international authorities, the State Department, DSS, and U.S. Embassy of Ecuador, executed the Gran Phoenix 57 operation, achieving the dismantling of an organization dedicated to illicit migrant trafficking, fraud, and the use of false documentation. Through the exchange of information, it was established that this network operated in the cities of UIO, not familiar with UIO, Guayaquil, Tolcan, Ambato, and Pollo, maintaining international links in Colombia, El Salvador, and EEUU. 20 mobile terminals, 3,000 USD in cash, 34 cartridges, and some documentation. And we also have a video. Damn. Make it look so easy. $2 bills. Okay. Well, all right. And according to the story, some of them were also arrested here in the U.S. According to the U.S. Department of Justice International. Yep, in the U.S. Okay. From U.S. Department of State, INL. Let's see. INL advises the President, Secretary of State, and USG on policies, programs to combat international narcotics and crime. So El Tren de Aragua inflicts violence. We impose consequences. We increase the reward to $5 million in exchange for information that results in the arrest and or conviction of the Tren de Aragua leader, Giovanni Vincente Mosquera Serrano. Share your tip with the FBI by calling 1-281-787-9939 and help bring justice to the victims of Tren de Aragua violence. And it's up to $5 million. That's the image there. And yeah, I mean, that's a hell of a payday if you know where this dude is. All right. From the White House, TDS has taken on so many forms, but supporting global narco-terrorists is a new low. And according to AMAC, liberals side with bloodthirsty narco-terrorists in a crusade to, quote-unquote, get Trump. Trump derangement syndrome has led to the corporate media, Democrats, and even some wayward Republicans to take some truly despicable public stances over the years. But defending narco-terrorists attempting to flood American communities with deadly poison may be a new low even for the never-Trump crowd. Okay. So I guess everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Okay, so the White House, Afghan terrorist who was released into the U.S. under Biden's disastrous Operation Allies Welcome program, arrested just miles from our nation's capital, which we did get to that, but this came from the White House. Quote, "We will fix it, but we will never forget what crooked Joe Biden and his thugs did to our country," President Donald J. Trump. So yeah, old dude's arrested. And House Foreign Affairs Committee, and I believe that's majority, if I'm not mistaken, or GOP, House Foreign Affairs Committee, GOP, for too long, the Muslim Brotherhood has posed a threat to American national security. It's good that President Trump is moving to designate them as terrorists. And here in Congress, we are moving to sanction them and restrict their ability to operate in America.
I want to thank my colleague and fellow Florida Representative Mauro Diaz-Balart, for leading this important and timely bill to sanction the Muslim Brotherhood and restrict its ability to operate within the United States of America. For years, our partners across the Middle East have been warning of the threat of this organization and what it poses. Initially established in Egypt in the late 1920s, it's grown into a transnational organization with chapters around the world. This is more than just a political organization. It promotes extreme and destabilizing views which continue to inspire acts of terrorism across the globe, including most notably Hamas and its horrific October 7, 2023 attack on Israel, in which 1,200 civilians were killed, over 1,200. And as the Trump administration noted in its recent executive order, these links were further underscored after October 7, 2023, when the Lebanese chapter of the Muslim Brotherhood worked hand in glove with Hamas, Hezbollah, and other Palestinian terrorists to launch direct attacks against Israel, furthering its October 7 aim. More recently, a Muslim Brotherhood affiliate in Jordan was implicated in a plot to destabilize this critical regional security partner. The plot, according to Jordanian government officials, similarly involved members of the Muslim Brotherhood's Lebanon chapter who were reportedly manufacturing weapons and training militants to target sites in Jordan, which, if successful, would have been a substantial blow to the Jordanian people and a major counterterrorist risk. For too long, the threat the Muslim Brotherhood poses to U.S. national security has been downplayed here in the United States, and it's well past time for course correction. I urge my colleagues to robustly support this bill and finally put in place much-needed measures to address this very real and increasingly prevalent threat.
All right, and I think I have one more during this hearing. Maybe not. Maybe this is unrelated, but it's from the same account. So in the United States, everyone is paid based on knowledge, experience, and work ethics. And as an added bonus, we don't even require hijabs or administer beatings for improper wear. And they're responding to Khamenei.ir. How many? Yeah, too many followers. I'm assuming he's the leader, right? Hold on. News message statements from Imam Saeed al-Khamenei. Khamenei, Iran's supreme leader, whatever. I can't pronounce his name. Anyway, in many Western countries today, women are paid less than men for doing the same work. That's how they are today, which is totally unjust. And it got community noted. Readers added context they thought people might want to know. Iran has a greater gender inequality than the entire West, which I'm sure, quite positive that they do. At Grok, what is the punishment for women in Iran who refuse to wear the hijab? Under Iran's 2024, so this is recent, 2024 hijab and chastity law, women not wearing the hijab face fines from 15 million to 500 million reals, which ranges from $24 to $790, escalating up to 1.5 billion reals. Also, travel and online bans and prison up to 5 to 15 years for repeats. Severe cases may invoke the death penalty under corruption on Earth. A recent Supreme Leader directive calls for stricter enforcement, though many women continue to defy it. Wow, man. That's ruthless. I mean, he's got a lot of nerve saying what he's saying. Okay, DEA HQ, 7,024 total arrests. They finally broke 7,000 arrests. And, I mean, like, ideally, you want the number to slow down. Like, eventually, you want this number to stop. We don't want it to get to, like, 1 million or anything. I mean, like, obviously, it would be great if it just... I mean, and it has. It's slowed down a lot. Like, from the time it was 6,000 to the time reaching 7,000, it had to have been at least a month, maybe even longer than a month. So anyway, and this is in D.C. So every badge, every partner, every agency standing shoulder to shoulder in Washington, D.C., DEA is taking poison off our streets and saving lives. Make D.C. safe again, Justice Department and the White House. 666 illegal guns seized. Make D.C. safe again. And CBP, let's see, the CBP officers at the San Yesirdo port of entry seized just over 57 pounds of fentanyl powder concealed inside of a vehicle. That is equivalent to over 2.6 million fentanyl pills that could have hit the streets. And there it is. And that's what it was concealed in. And we got this from Attorney General Pamela Bondi. Federal courts have no right to interfere with the state's decision to redraw legislative maps for partisan reasons. A federal district court ignored that principle 2 weeks ago, and the Supreme Court correctly stayed that overreaching decision tonight. Congratulations to Texas for advancing the rule of law. My Solicitor General, John Sauer, and our team of lawyers for their excellent brief supporting Texas in this important case. Way to go. All right. And we've got this from AAG. Well, it stops jumping around. AAG Harmy Dillon. In every state, there are people on the voter rolls who don't belong, whether they have died or moved or registered multiple times. At Civil Rights, the DOJ Civil Rights Division and the Justice Department will continue to enforce our laws so that every American has equal access to the ballot.
Everything is fine, but when you start getting your hands on these voter rolls, tell us some of the things that your staff has been able to find that show that these voter rolls are not only outdated, but potentially corrupted.
Yeah, well, I don't want to get into specifics before we've completed all of our review, and every time we get new data, we're then, kind of updating our analysis. But there are definitely people on the voter rolls of every state who don't belong there. They're dead. They've moved. They're registered multiple times. There have been reported instances of people, because of these insecure double or extraneous registrations, going to the polls and having their
I bet a lot more Democrats are double enrolled than Republicans, probably.
There are clearly people on the voter rolls, including immigrants who are not citizens, and that can include legal immigrants and illegal immigrants, who are on the voter rolls.
Probably.
And some states have become very sloppy and loosey-goosey about how people register, and it's self-certification in most jurisdictions. In California, when you go to renew your license, and every 10 years they make you go to the DMV and do it, they ask you if you want to register to vote. I actually had to call a staffer over to the electronic screen and explain to them that there was no option for me to say, I'm already registered. So I might have gotten registered twice because I moved since
again
the last
and again.
time. That's kind of the default. It's a mess. And when you couple that with both the mail-in voting with no excuse absentee balloting and some cockamamie schemes that some politicians have advanced to have telephone voting, this is a scary scenario, and it's going to lead to inaccurate elections and people not having confidence in the outcome of our elections, which is a real civics problem in this country that we need to get past.
Well, one easy number they should be able to determine is precisely how many people are registered to vote, like individual people. How many names are registered to vote in the state of California? And during the last general election or the presidential election, how many individuals voted in that election, and see if those numbers come close to meeting up. Of course, not each and every single registered voter is going to end up voting, but I'd be curious to know that. Like, were there more votes that were cast than there are individual registered voters in California? Wouldn't surprise me if that happened. All right, Dr. Oz, CMS, what you need to know about Obamacare fraud and what we're doing to fix it. Apparently, he explains it in this video.
The Government Accountability Office just released a shocking interim report on widespread fraud within Obamacare. Let me explain what's going on. During the pandemic, the previous administration took a variety of actions that weakened crucial safeguards. For example, they eliminated common sense income verifications, which are central to making sure people actually qualify for the program. They also expanded the number of people who got completely free health insurance via what are called $0 premium plans, which is a huge problem because if you don't pay anything for a plan, you might forget that you have it, or you may be enrolled in it by an unscrupulous insurance broker without your knowledge. To date, we've received complaints from hundreds of thousands of Americans who didn't know they were enrolled in an Obamacare plan until they got paperwork from the IRS related to their tax credits. So, why was this allowed to happen? Because the past administration prioritized achieving big program enrollment numbers over protecting program integrity. The problem here is that you, the American taxpayer, are footing the bill
for all
of this fraud in the form of tax subsidies. Under President Trump and Secretary Kennedy, we are not sitting idly by. We've uncovered 4.4 million improper enrollments, including roughly 1.6 million individuals who were enrolled in both Medicaid and an Obamacare plan in 2024, which taxpayers, by the way, are footing the bill in both of these cases. You get double insurance. You're not paying for either. We've already started cleaning up the system by removing about 1 million people from Obamacare who are or should be covered somewhere else. This alone is going to save taxpayers billions in waste. In fact, the very first rule we announced in this administration was our marketplace integrity and affordability rule, which would have, and I'm listing it out, enforced common sense income verification checks, made sure people who were enrolled knew they were enrolled, and blocked illegal immigrants from accessing taxpayer-funded care. But here's the bonus of it all. Our rule would have lowered premiums across the board for Americans by an average of 5%. That's a lot of money. Now, we're on track, doing fine, until Blue Cities brought a politically motivated lawsuit against us, tying up this important rule in litigation. I want to applaud Congress for at least giving us some additional tools through the Working Families Tax Cut legislation that will enable us to bolster verification in future years. Meanwhile, we're continuing to fight every day to clean up the Obamacare problems, and as this report rightly points out, there's still a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, that there is. There's a whole lot of work to be done. I mean, 5%, it's a dent. It's not really enough to make a massive difference, but at least it's going in the right direction. Okay, from House Democrats. 15 years ago, Democrats passed the Affordable Care Act. We fought to ensure every American could access affordable, high-quality health care, and we're still fighting. Republicans want to rip health care away from millions. We won't let them. Yeah, okay. Like illegals, namely. So 15 years ago, you all ruined our healthcare industry. Before Obamacare, my health insurance was $150 a month for $20 for the primary care doctor, $35 for the specialist, $50 for immediate care, $100 for the ER, $250 for the inpatient, $0 deductibles, $0 for follow-ups, period. And that is the honest truth. And that was back in the 2000s. Of course, I was in my 20s back then, so that also played a part in it. I mean, it wasn't like I was a senior or anything. I'm sure health insurance, it goes up substantially as you age, because I've read somewhere that like the last 5 years of your life is the period of time where you're going to end up using like 85% of all the health insurance claims that you would use across a lifetime, something like that. Okay, all right. RNC research. Democrat Senator Jeff Merkley suggests he would have kept the government shut down longer over the healthcare crisis Democrats created. Merkley, it's not really a question at this point whether it was a mistake or not to reopen. These people are
it's
evil,
not
man.
really a question at this point whether it was a mistake or not
evil.
to reopen. What was a mistake was failing to address this huge, devastating attack on the health care of 20 million Americans.
Oh, no, it's so devastating. No, the only devastating thing was that they passed Obama to begin with not a single Republican supporting it either. All right, Senator John Barrasso. As soon as I get rid of that. Okay, so Democrats want a 3-year extension on Biden's COVID bonus payments with 0 reforms to address the waste, fraud, abuse, and corruption. They want to send $100 billion from taxpayers to big insurance companies. Might I remind the Democrats, COVID is over. Amen. Because the whole reason for the extension of those subsidies was because of COVID specifically. And let's see, from Andrew Desiderio. Who was he again? A senior congressional reporter at Punchbowl News, covering the Senate. He's a proud Italian American, and he's a Philly native. So Schumer just confirmed our scoop from yesterday. Democrats will offer a 3-year clean extension of the Obamacare enhanced premium tax credits for the next week's Senate vote on healthcare. Oh, it's so clean. Obamacare is so clean. Ain't that an oxymoron? And he follows that up with his original post on December 3rd. News: Senate Dems expected to offer 3-year clean extension of Obamacare subsidies for next week's healthcare vote in the Senate, per multiple sources. Would align them with the House Dems, who are pushing the same plan. Let's see. Ours, not 100% sure they'll offer their own side-by-side. Look, I mean, I will agree with Democrats that Republicans, they need to get something on the table. I know that they're talking about this and that, and Speaker Mike Johnson, he says that we've got hundreds of ideas, and we have to work together across the aisle to consolidate these ideas and figure out which ones are the best plans so we can get something pieced together. Well, look, they're not going to work with you until you got something to offer them initially, so I don't know why they haven't offered anything. I mean, they realistically, the Republicans have had to have been working on something, or at least some Republicans, probably going all the way back to when Obamacare was first implemented. So not sure why they're not dusting off anything that they've shelved or tabled in the past, but maybe we'll be getting something soon, but time's ticking. All right. And got another one from Senator John Barrasso. The biggest Obamacare lie of them all, quote, your premiums will go down. The truth, premiums for those on Obamacare have gone up 220% since it became the law. Deductibles have doubled. Even the New York Times said Obamacare is pricey. Billions more in government spending will not lower costs. And that sharp increase is with subsidies. If I'm not mistaken, Obamacare has been subsidized since it first came out. And it just goes to show it's a failing system. All right, so let's watch
Your premiums will go down.
Premiums for people in Obamacare have gone up over 220%. Their deductibles have doubled. A family of 4 now pays $10,000 more for the coverage today than it did.
I wish they put a source in like an asterisk or something.
The New York Times said Obamacare is pricey.
Okay, all right. Well, that's more of like a political commercial than anything. So unless he linked something, maybe he linked something down here. Probably not. No, he didn't. So not sure if I go as far as to say that, to take it with a grain of salt, because that wouldn't surprise me. Actually, I'm sure that I've read that at least a few times recently, because this has been a hot topic for months at this point. Going up 220%. I absolutely believe it. All right, United States Strategic Command, and that is U.S. STRATCOM, official account of U.S. Strategic Command. And they say Friday at 10 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time, General Anthony Cotton will relinquish command of U.S. STRATCOM to Admiral Richard Correll, officially handing over responsibility for global strategic deterrence and more than 40,000 warfighters who keep the nation's nuclear triad always ready. Watch live here. So, of course, we're not there yet, but I will link this as soon as I can find it. Watch live here. Where's here? Oh, you know what? Actually, it's probably in the underneath in the comments. Or is it? No. I don't know. Where are we going to watch it? Watch live here. Okay. Yeah, that's not going to be it. Okay, well, maybe I'll come across it on tomorrow's episode. I'll be on the lookout for it, and we'll see him relinquish control. From the White House, election integrity news. The Trump administration is on track to compel over half the country to clean their voter rolls. On Just the News, election integrity push. DOJ on track to compel voter roll cleanups in over half of U.S. states. And they probably have theirs linked below. Of course they do. All right. So the Trump Justice Department is on track to compel more than half the states in America to clean up their voter rolls, and believes sloppiness that left dead people and non-citizens in a position to vote in Democrat-run states is intentional. Of course it's intentional. A top prosecutor told Just the News. I mean, that's an old joke where like an old Democrat says, like, when I die, make sure you bury me in a blue state so I can keep voting. I mean, that joke's probably one of the oldest jokes, political jokes in the book. All right, so the sloppiness of the elections in blue states is no accident. It is on purpose. It is a feature not a bug, Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights Harmeet J. Dillon told Just the News No Noise television show on Wednesday night. And the goal is to cram as many people on there and make voters who are not particularly engaged, make it easy for someone else to help them fill out their ballot and return it for them when they didn't care enough to do it themselves, she added. What we can do at the federal government level is ensure that our federal election laws are observed, and that includes each state's requirement to keep clean voter rolls, she added. That is a fundamental basic. Look, there's a lot of different opinions, actually a lot of, frankly, some pretty good ideas out there as far as just completely overhauling our voter system. Like people say we should go back to only landowners or property owners should be allowed to vote. I've also heard the argument that anyone who is a tax-paying citizen, I've also heard another argument, someone who is a net positive tax-paying citizen should have the right to vote. So, I mean, there's a lot of ideas out there. I'm sure that there's flaws in each one of those. I mean, if you really dig through it, but not sure if we're ever going to end up looking into that. Probably not. But anyway, Dillon spoke one day after her division filed lawsuits against 6 Democrat-run states, Maryland, Delaware, Rhode Island, New Mexico, Washington State, and Vermont, seeking to compel them to turn over to the DOJ their voter rolls to be inspected for abnormalities, outdated names, or non-compliant names. She also struck a deal last week with North Carolina to force it to review and fix over 100,000 voters' names on rolls that in that battleground state that were added without complying with state law. Dillon said her office is now on track to force through litigation, settlement, or voluntary efforts at least 26 states to clean up voter rolls. Quote, we're now in litigation with 14 states, so the 6 yesterday included the ones I already stated. That adds to 8 we already had going. We are close to reaching resolution, voluntary cooperation with another dozen states, and I won't say which those are, but I think we will definitely let the public know when that happens. We have voluntary cooperation from 4 states, and we reached a settlement and a consent decree with the state of North Carolina. Dillon said the DOJ is checking records from all states, and it has found some states like California that are particularly loosey-goosey. She enumerated the sort of problems that are being uncovered in red and blue states alike. Quote, there are definitely people on the voter rolls of every state who don't belong there. They're dead. They've moved. They've registered multiple times there. So, of course, we already heard that in the interview. So there are clearly people on the voter rolls, including immigrants who are not citizens, and that can include legal immigrants and illegal immigrants who are on the voter rolls, she added. Okay. Rolling on down to this one from NNSA. We'll get a snapshot of their profile bio. NNSA delivers the U.S. nuclear stockpile, strengthens non-proliferation, powers a global naval fleet, and advances transformative tech. And NNSA continues implementing President Trump's nuclear energy agenda, promoting American exports, strengthening global security, and opening the gateway for the Philippines and Singapore. This is on energy.gov. So the Energy Department expands the list of Part 810 or 810 generally authorized destinations to include the Philippines and Singapore. The Department of Energy gives the okay for Philippines and Singapore to get U.S. exports of nuclear technology and assistance. The 2 countries are now eligible to receive U.S. exports of certain Part 810 controlled nuclear technology and assistance. U.S. Secretary of Energy Chris Wright has issued a determination generally authorizing destinations of the Philippines and Singapore for exports of certain controlled nuclear technology and assistance under the Department of Energy regulation on assistance to foreign atomic energy activities under 10 CFR Part 810. And DOE's Part 810 regulations were updated November 24th of 2025 to effectuate the changes. With the addition of the Philippines and Singapore, the total number of destinations deemed eligible is now at 50. Part 810 implements Section 57B2 of the Atomic Energy Act of 1954 as amended, 42 U.S.C. 2077. Under it, Secretary Wright has authorized certain activities that are not harmful, adverse, or hostile to the interest of the United States, including assistance or transfers of technology to specific generally authorized destinations listed in Appendix A to Part 810. The department continues to make progress implementing President Trump's Executive Order 14299, deploying advanced nuclear reactor technologies for national security, and specifically Section 8 on promoting American nuclear exports. This expansion of generally authorized destinations complements other DOE actions, including supporting the negotiation of multiple new 123 agreements and the enhanced automation of the Part 810 web-based licensing system known as E810. These ongoing efforts demonstrate the Department of Energy's ongoing enhancement of its nuclear technology export authorization process. DOE's National Nuclear Security Administration administers Part 810. So there we go. And heading to U.S. DOT rapid response from 12 hours ago from Secretary Sean Duffy, who is the Secretary of Transportation. Dems cafe standards underscores lies of their affordability talk. And cafe, it is the mile per gallon gas standards, and also maybe even their emission standards too. It may contain that as well. So this will be on Breitbart from Secretary Duffy. Democrats' cafe standards underscore party's affordability rhetoric is a lie. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy said Wednesday that Democrats' narrative about affordability has proven a lie by the left-wing fuel efficiency standards imposed on automakers, which have driven up car prices. That they have. Duffy spoke to the effects of the Biden-era corporate average fuel economy, or CAFE. So, yeah, it does specifically talk fuel economy or mile per gallon standards, at an Oval Office press conference alongside the president, announcing they were resetting the standards. They're resetting the standards. Yesterday at the cabinet meeting, the president was talking about affordability, and the way that Democrats talk about affordability is a lie. Today is a perfect example of that. These CAFE standards used what was contrary to the law that Congress set. Then it goes on from there. And I showed that on the Swamp last night. And move to this quote. Yesterday at the cabinet meeting, the president was talking about affordability, and the way that Democrats talk about affordability is a lie. Biden and Buttigieg used EVs and hybrids to come up with the 62 mile an hour per gallon standard, which the car companies will tell you is completely unattainable, Duffy said. He noted that this forced automakers to spend big on technology and trying to reach the standard, and cost them billions in carbon trades if they could not meet it. So they spent a lot of money on technology trying to meet the unattainable standard, driving up the cost of a car, number one, Duffy said. Number two, if they couldn't meet the unattainable standard, they had to trade for carbon, costing billions of dollars, and again, driving up the price of the cars. The Department of Transportation under former Secretary Pete Buttigieg announced in April of 22 a rule increasing fuel efficiency standards on automakers by 8% for cars and light trucks built in 2024 and 25 model years, followed by a 10% increase for 2026 models. The Biden DOT announced a 2% per year increase for 2027 to 31 model passenger cars, and from years 29 to 31 model light trucks in April of 24. Duffy told reporters Democrats were not making cars more affordable. They were making them less affordable. And as the secretary pointed out, Trump called out Democrats on their affordability narrative on Tuesday after Bidenflation unleashed major affordability problems for Americans. Quote, I inherited the worst inflation in history. There was no affordability. No one could afford anything. The prices were massively high, he said before acknowledging Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins and her work to bring prices down. Trump added the word affordability is a con job by the Democrats. For example, Trump pointed to the price of gas, which AAA notes ranged from $2.40 to $2.66 a gallon of unleaded regular in 11 states on Wednesday, with the national average at $2.98. In comparison, under President Biden, gas prices reached an all-time high of $5.01 per gallon of regular in June of 22. Trump predicted gas prices could fall to $2 a gallon or even lower, which he said would be easier to accomplish if he were not working to build up strategic reserves that Biden used before the 24 election, which he used to artificially drop the price of gas. Trump highlighted the crippling inflation brought about under Biden at levels unseen since the Carter administration. Biden and Democratic lawmakers spending in the last administration, including the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan, another oxymoron, and the so-called bipartisan infrastructure bill, had a hand in sending prices rocketing upward. Trump touted that his administration had tackled inflation, but said there is still more to do. Since last January, we stopped inflation in its tracks. There's more to do, but we have it down to a very good level. We inherited the worst inflation. There's always more to do, but we can have it down to a very good level. It's going to go down a little bit further. You want to have a little tiny bit of inflation. Otherwise, that's not good either. Then you have a thing called deflation, and deflation can be worse than inflation. Yeah, in some cases it could be. I believe that's what happened during the Great Depression. So Vice President J.D. Vance echoed Trump's sentiment during the meeting and detailed the average American family lost over $3,000 of household income under Biden, while under the first 10 months of the Trump administration, we gained over $1,000 of household income. So tracking up in the right direction. I believe that I played that that statement from J.D. Vance. I believe it was the day before yesterday. It was definitely this week where I play that on the Swamp. Okay, here we go to the next from Trump War Room, Secretary Duffy, and it's a quote. So we got a video with the quote. So let's just play the video.
But is that my job at DOT or Donald Trump's job to force GM or Ford to invest in EVs? It's their job to look at the market and global demands. And if they see global demands for EVs are real, they should make those investments. But let's not force them to build cars that Americans don't want to buy in this country. We're not going to do that. And again, I think China loves the EV push because they control 90% of critical minerals. They have a corner on the market. Every car that's going to be sold is going to have Chinese parts in it and Chinese processed critical minerals in those cars. Listen, we have a lot of oil and gas here. We have so again, I think we should be responsive to global markets, but also to the American markets as well. And again, China wants this because China has a corner on critical minerals.
I mean, I ain't driving cars that are made in China. Out of your mind, dude. I drive Japan. I drive a car that was built in the 90s from Japan when they were over-engineering everything back then. So the White House slashes fuel standards. I actually went to Grok and I elaborated a little bit on the fuel efficiency standard. And so what will Trump's new fuel efficiency standard be? So Trump's proposed fuel efficiency standard rolls back Biden-era rules requiring an average of 34.5 miles per gallon for light-duty vehicles by model year 2031. It's down from 50 miles per gallon. And I believe that also includes trucks. So this starts from the 2022 baseline with 0.5% annual increases aiming to cut costs and boost gas-powered vehicles. So what will the minimum mile per gallon be? And the minimum fleet-wide average mile per gallon under Trump's new CAFE standards is 30.4 for model year 26, rising 0.5 annually to 34.5 by the year 2031. Will it be legal to build any type of motor vehicle that gets, let's say, 20 miles per gallon? Yes, it's legal to build motor vehicles getting 20 mpg under the new CAFE standards. These are fleet averaging rules. So 30.4 mile per gallon minimum for 2026. So manufacturers can produce less efficient models like trucks or SUVs as long as higher efficiency ones offset them. So no per vehicle minimum exists, which I thought there was a standard that existed, not for average, but I thought that they had a minimum requirement. So I must have misheard that along the way. So does a per vehicle minimum exist currently before Trump's new standards? No. Under the current Biden-era CAFE rules, there is no per vehicle minimum mile per gallon. The standards are fleet average only, currently targeting 49 to 50 mile per gallon fleet-wide by 2026, rising further. Manufacturers can legally build and sell any vehicle that gets 20 miles per gallon or less, as long as the rest of their fleet compensates to meet the overall average. So there you go. Just a little bit of clarification on that. And got another one from DOT. Rapid Response Secretary Duffy wants the market to decide what kind of cars people can buy. And by eliminating the Biden-era fuel efficiency rules, DOT is bringing back the car of choice to Americans. Let's hear this.
If you're building a car, developing a car that Joe Biden or Pete Buttigieg wanted you to build, that's different than market demand. I want the market to decide what kind of EV I should offer. What kind of vehicles do the American consumers want to buy? This rule will actually allow you to bring back the 1970s station wagon, maybe a little wood paneling on the side, Phil. We can bring back choice to consumers. So yeah,
that'd be
awesome,
nice.
But maybe the station wagon is cool too.
Well, like some people, they want to live in the lap of luxury as an affordable price as possible. So people, they got to have their heated seats, their cooled seats, their heated steering wheel. Don't they even have like massage chairs or seats now in cars and everything wrapped in red leather and all this fancy stuff? But no, that ain't me at all. At least not me. I mean, my car doesn't even have cruise control. It does have power steering. I mean, my first car didn't have power steering, but yeah, I mean, like the car I have now, it's got crank windows, manual door locks, it's a manual transmission, It's got manual seats. You know, you got to like lift the handle to slide the seat up and down. Manual mirrors. Doesn't have like lane assist or you know, any of that nonsense, like a rear view camera. It's got nothing. It's bare bones basic, 100% mechanical. It's got a little bit of a computer underneath the hood, but my car was built in 1998, so really doesn't have a whole lot. It's not wired up with GPS. They can't send me ads on my freaking infotainment system. Not that I have one. And one of the best parts is that my car has a real key. You know, you actually use a real key to unlock the door. Remember when they used to make cars that did that? All right, so US DOT rapid response. We are going to bring micro cars to America, a more affordable option for consumers. Interesting.
President
micro
says,
cars.
You know, I saw these micro cars over in Asia. Why don't we have these here? We can't build them here in the U.S. I think we're not going to get into the technical parts of this, but there are reasons why we don't see those vehicles here in the U.S. Will you change the rules so that micro cars can be built and they can be driven on highways?
You can import them,
right
though.
Now they're restricted by speed limits and,
especially if they're over 25 years
safety
old.
features. Will you change that?
He called me after the meeting actually and said, let's change the rules. And so I worked with NHTSA. We're in the process, clearing the deck. So listen, if there's a market for those vehicles, I want to give our manufacturers the opportunity to build those cars. And so we are at NHTSA going to clear the deck, clear the rules, and let them build those small cars. And again, are they going to work on the freeways? Probably not. But again, vehicles that work in cities, and if that's where you drive, it could be a great solution for you. And by the way, much more affordable than other options that are on the market today.
Look, as long as these vehicles can at least get to 55 miles an hour, then I'd be okay with that. But it's really frustrating being behind like a moped, for instance, and they're cruising at 30 miles an hour on a 55-mile highway. I mean, that gets annoying. But a micro car. So let's have a look and see what these micro cars look like. I had a look at one of them before I started the show, but I figured we'd take a look at these. So 2021 versus 1955. Isn't that the Urkel-mobile? I can't remember what the name of that vehicle was. Yeah, like that one. That was old school. So they've been building these micro cars for a long time. Yeah, like the electric micro cars. And there's no way that thing can get up to 45, 50 miles an hour. Maybe it can. So yeah, this is what they're talking about. They're talking about these little bitty cars. Apparently some of them are even three-wheeled. Yeah, look, I think this might be one of those. Are those three-wheeled? Yeah, those are three-wheeled. Those also look old school. So yeah, this is what they're talking about. Yeah, look, even micro planes apparently. So yeah, man, little micro cars, little two-door or two-seater, and micro Volkswagen bus. That's hilarious. So yeah, man, that's what they're talking about, having the ability to build and sell to the American public. Just, yeah, I don't know. Not too crazy about the idea if they don't get up to a decent speed. However, look, if that's what somebody wants to drive, as long as they could keep up with the speed limit, or at least the minimum speed limit. I mean, we're not supposed to be routinely driving over the speed limit. At least where I live, everybody does. Everybody drives at least 10 miles over the speed limit, including the sheriffs, and they don't even care. I mean, every time I see a sheriff on the road, if I'm cruising 10 miles over the speed limit, now I got to knock on wood, but you can pretty much finish that statement. So yeah, they're really laid back here, which is pretty nice. All right, so House Republicans follow the money. House Republicans passed Rep. Aaron Bean's Trace Act to put parents back in charge of their child's education by establishing the right to know about any foreign donations, financial transactions, classroom materials, or faculty who are paid by foreign entities. And the Trace Act is H.R. 1049. Not sure if they have anything linked to elaborate on that. Actually, yes, they do. Or perhaps, hold on. No, this is from a different user. Yes, and more than 160 Democrats voted against it. More than 160 House Democrats voted against crackdown on foreign influence. So, yeah, foreign influence in U.S. schools. So that was just published today, December 4th. And I'll read a little bit of this. So more than 160 House Democrats voted against a pair of bills Thursday aimed at keeping foreign influence out of U.S. schools. Both pieces of legislation passed with bipartisan support, though Democrats' top ranks opposed each one. Quote, we just want to educate our children, focus on reading, writing, and arithmetic, developing a holistic child, giving the ability to them to think critically, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, Democrat of New York, told Fox News Digital when asked about the pushback. We're not going to be lectured by a group of Republicans who are dismantling the Department of Education in real time. Oh, so that's what that's all about. Literally 90% of the Department of Education, as it existed last year, is now gone. Our propaganda machine for children, it's disappearing right before our very eyes. He accused Republicans of attacking public education, just like they're attacking public health and attacking public safety. One of the two bills was led by House GOP Policy Committee Chairman Kevin Hern, a Republican of Oklahoma, and would block federal funds from elementary and secondary schools that have programs, cultural exchanges, or other class-related activities that get dollars from the Chinese government. It would also block federal funds from schools that either directly or indirectly get any kind of support from entities or people related to the Chinese government. Now, why would the Chinese government, why would they just be so noble and so philanthropic to just start dumping money into our public education system? Is it just because they just have kind hearts? Is that really why they're doing it? I mean, come on, man. That bill passed 247 to 166 with 33 Democrats in favor and 166 against. The second piece of legislation, led by Rep. Aaron Bean, Republican of Florida, would require every public elementary and secondary school to notify parents that they have a right to request information about any foreign influence in their child's school. The notification would have to come via the school's local education agency, or LEA, bodies such as school boards that have administrative control over that, and other schools in the area. Second bill passed 247 and 164 with 33 Democrats in favor and 164 against. Republicans argued these were common sense bills aimed at keeping malign foreign influence out of U.S. schools, but Democrats criticized both during the debate on the House floor. Quote, the bill gives no guidance on what acting directly or indirectly on behalf of means, or how you are supposed to know and how a parent's contribution to a school program should be evaluated. Rep. Bobby Scott, a Democrat of Virginia, said, and really, are you supposed to scrutinize all parents' contributions or just those from parents of Chinese American students? What does that have to do with anything? Chinese Americans? Dude, we're talking about the CCP, dummy. Not friggin' Chinese Americans. What does that have to do with anything? Okay. So that happened. All right, from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, job openings rates increased in 2 states in August of 2025. And I will link that also. So that's the map. The darkest areas, or the darkest states, is 5% and higher. And then it ranges downward from there, the lowest being 4% and lower. So the ones who are the states that are in the lightest of colors, like if you're planning on moving somewhere else in the country, if you're looking to relocate to another state with job opportunities, head for the darkest colored states. And there you might find employment. Hover over a state to see data. No, it's just an image. So if you go to this website, bls.gov, it'll be a more interactive map on that webpage you can have a look at. So U.S.-China Commission. Nikkei Asia warns that Q-Day, when quantum computers can break all classical cryptography, could arrive in the 2030s. When it does, quantum capability may rival or even surpass traditional power assets like aircraft carriers and F-35s. Have a quick look at this from Washington. Oh, no, a really quick look, because they're going to paywall me. Uh-oh. I think this is the first time that I've been to this website, so I don't know if this is actually going to work or not. But it's worth at least trying. Let's see if we can get that to work. Maybe not. Nah, it ain't going to work. Oh, well. So, parliamentary debate between Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaishi and an opposition politician over possible Taiwan contingencies from a maritime blockade in the Bashi Channel to outright occupation kicked off a new round of tensions with China, yet analysts warn that such scenarios may soon be overshadowed by a new weapon, quantum computing. Okay, well, I think we pretty much got the gist of it in the initial post. And I guess we'll just move on to the next thing from NASA. Here it is. Look up at the moon. The last full moon of 2025 reaches its peak today on December the 4th. Today, Thursday. This month's full moon is also a supermoon, meaning that it will appear slightly bigger and brighter than usual. Check out our daily moon guide to learn more, which will also be linked. So yeah, man, full moon. It's like a plane. There's a little plane there. All right, so, and finally, Nancy Grace Roman Space Telescope. This was posted 12 hours ago. Rome wasn't built in a day, but Roman just came together in one. The Nancy Grace Roman Space Telescope has finished final integration at the NASA Goddard Space Flight Center. And you can learn more about this historic milestone here. And we've got a quick 23-second video of them putting it together all in one day. you go. That seemed really easy. Sure, it took them years to assemble it from scratch, but they put the whole thing together in a single day. And once it launches in a couple of years, it's going to study dark matter and exoplanets. I believe it is an infrared telescope. So anything that studies exoplanets, that's awesome. I'm all about the whole exoplanets game. So anyway, that's going to do it for this episode. If you enjoyed the video, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It'll mean a lot to me if you subscribe, and I will be dropping a new show every evening, Monday through Friday, covering the swamp and everyone in it, the bureaucrats, the bureaucracies, the agencies, politicians, everything happening in the swamp. And I also post daily episodes on X, so feel free to comment there too if you'd like. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your night, and God bless America.